Another way. Welcome, folks, to another episode of Valiant TLDR, the ultimate deep dive into the history, creators, and behind the scenes of Valiant Comics. So I'm Carl Choi. I am OG Valiant fan. I have all nostalgia behind it. We have Mr. Jason Richardson, aka Southern Comic Geek, who's been at Valiant since day one, and he's current, so he's been reading it all. And our friend Newell Turner, our co-host Stingray, who brings the fresh eyes and perspective of what it's like to read Valiant today. So every week we're going to be bringing you in-depth interviews, reviews, unboxings, creator interviews, and special guests like we'll have one today to help dive into our beloved Valiant universe. What's up, fellas?
What's up?
It's time to talk about, what are we doing today? TUROK?
TUROK. How you guys feel? I mean, to kind of kick it off, there's a lot of like historic relevance for TUROK because a lot of folks may not know Valiant Comics, but I would say pretty much like everyone we talked to would, grew up in the 90s would know TUROK #1. Noah, what was your exposure to TUROK growing up?
So it's weird, right? I vaguely remember hearing about TUROK. Like I knew there was a video game. I've never played it, so I hope that doesn't make me less ready for today. I don't know.
I've never played either.
But like I don't know if I was aware of the comic first or the video game, but like I was always vaguely aware that TUROK was a thing. I can kind of vaguely remember seeing the comics at like comic shops and stuff like that, and even like later when I started going to conventions and stuff, like I know I've seen like some issues around. I think I've seen #1s around, but yeah. I never really, like the rest of Valiant in general, I never really knew a whole lot about it, and I wasn't reading it at the time. So, so like you said, it's all new to me.
I mean, they were big in the dollar bin for sure. I've rescued a few myself. But speaking of dollar bins, I mean, Jason, you're part of a very select group of TUROK collectors, and maybe you could kind of set that up, give us a little bit of the thesis behind that, and then introduce our very special guest. Yeah. That's maybe a better way to say it.
Yeah, so I mean, if you think about TUROK and when Acclaim bought the Valiant characters, and of course that's part of the Gold Key thing, TUROK is probably the most successful launch of their plans to go past comic books into multimedia, in particular the game space, because there's a lot of people out there, I think, that just know TUROK from the games itself. So they don't go back to the TUROK #1s or the Magnus where he was introduced into the title, or even back to the Del 4-color, because TUROK is actually the oldest of the Gold Key characters.
Oh, okay.
Came out prior to Solar or Magnus. So, they don't go back that far. But anyway, you're touched by the Dinosaur Hunter, the Man of Stone, whatever, or the Son of Stone, whatever way you want to call him, as it relates to Valiant. When TUROK 1 was launched with this glorious chromium cover and Bart Sears goodness. It was just one of those books that appealed to me. The aesthetic, I mean, fighting dinosaurs, how could you go wrong with fighting dinosaurs, and doing it with the cool bow and arrow to boot. And so when I got back into collecting comics and going to various comic shops, I would always find these TUROK #1s. I'm like, I've got to rescue these guys. And so they've continued to accumulate over time, and have quite the collection of them. And I still rescue them today when I find them. Now, unfortunately, I guess there's a run on chromium, and our guest here today is one of the reasons for it, because he's got quite a collection himself. But yeah, I mean, that's the attachment, if you will, to TUROK, and we're going to be talking today about the first few issues of Valiant's TUROK run.
Hey, Carl, can we get like a ticker for future videos that goes up every time Jason gets a new TUROK?
That'd be pretty funny. We should definitely get that going. And then the Stingray meter. I think
right. Well, and so like every time a TUROK 1 is rescued from the dollar bin, an angel gets its wings.
Is that how that works? Just hear a little ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I just got a 9.8 CBCS because of all the ones I had, none of them were graded. So I actually got that. There's a gold version. There's also a Valiant validated signature series version of it.
Yeah.
So,
In fact, we should have our special guest join us today before you guys dive more into all the different versions of TUROK number ones.
yeah. So do you want me to
Please do. Let's introduce our
Who are you
guest.
going to talk to, Jason?
Yeah, so Mark, aka Legion of Comics. So I remember watching Mark when he was just going into the various comic book community chats and started as a small channel. He has since surpassed all that. I mean, he probably by the end of this year will be at 5,000 subs.
Nice.
This guy is like an animal when it comes to comic book content. He's all the time hosting lives. He's all the time doing this other stuff. And probably just as important, he makes a dent in important real life stuff with this fun stuff. And that's because he's one of the people that heads up the Comics Curing Cancer, which is an American Cancer Society endorsed fundraiser every year. They will actually have a booth at Heroes Con. So met Mark several years ago at Dragon Con in real life. And so got to meet him in person then. And his love of TUROK. Just recently, he completed reading the whole volume through. Today, we will be talking about the whole volume in detail. But he and Newell will be the fresh set of eyes to the first few issues of TUROK as we dive into that. So with that, let's welcome Mr. Mark.
Mr. Mark.
Catches on quick.
Yeah,
welcome.
I would appreciate that same TUROK counter ticker so I can know where my competition stands.
Yeah. We got to get dueling TUROK counters.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I think we're gonna have to implement that. So, Mark, welcome, man. I can only imagine if you guys met at Dragon Con, were you guys both dressed up as TUROK and like saw each other in the car, and then like slowly walked to each other and be like,
we met online way before then, but it was kind of the same thing. We converged on John Jang's booth, so it was perfect. Yeah.
Nice. So, I mean, we're about to dive into the first 7, 8 issues of TUROK, and
I read 1 through 9.
Okay, 9. Okay, so 9 issues. Maybe between you and Newell, you guys can kind of share a little bit of a fresh feel as to like after coming off reading TUROK, preparing on a big picture for our audience, what it's all about. What should we be expecting?
Dinosaurs.
Yeah. Dinosaurs.
Oh, yeah, dinosaurs specifically. Yes.
Oh yeah, lots and lots of dinosaurs.
So with that said, why don't we just dive right in, guys? Here we go. The scan is not super great, obviously, because it doesn't do any justice.
Oh, yeah, chromium, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the art interiors are freaking awesome. A big fan of Bart Sears across the board here.
Right off the bat with the Bart.
Yep.
Really cool stuff. I thought it was interesting that they started off in 1987. I don't know why, but I assumed it was going to be, 92 or whatever, but they went back a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Interesting. Is it because, I mean, I know this follows Unity, right? Which was a big, crossover event. And obviously TUROK has now kind of landed back into like the Colombian jungles, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so like
everybody lands in a different spot, or landed in a different spot. So that's he was back a little bit.
Right. Yeah, but then like the whole first few pages is like kind of a recap of Unity and his part in it. So him and his partner there were the younger guy that he was trying to train. They go through a cave and they come out and they find dinosaurs. So they ended up in the Lost Land.
Wait, so I have to ask real quick, bounce back. Mark, was this your first time reading TUROK?
No.
It was? Okay, so you just decided to reread it from
No, just some backstory with the character.
Okay.
I grew up around comics. My dad's been collecting since 1963. This is literally the first comic he bought in 1963. He since got graded and gave it to me as one of my birthday presents along the way.
Oh, that's huge.
I've grown up knowing who TUROK is, playing it on N64, having this in my room as a beat-up childhood copy, And so that's where the love of collecting it comes from for me. And I just had a wild hair up my butt a couple months ago. Let me reread that. I don't even remember what it was about. So I reread it. I'm like, now I want to read the rest. And unfortunately, 6 months ago, we had sold off the entire run except for issue 1, which I kept. So I went back and rebought all of it, paying more for it than probably should have, because I didn't want to wait to read it. And that's where I'm at now. Now I'm in the weird era now, not just story wise, but publication wise.
Okay.
It's weird, but so that's where I was with it. Familiar with the character, the Dell, the Gold Key, the Valiant stuff, but just getting into it for the first time past issue 1, really.
That makes a lot of sense. So why did you sell off the whole collection initially? Like,
again, I didn't own the collection. My dad owned the collection. He literally 100% of all Valiant stuff, got it as it came out, read it, and there's just a lot of stuff like you just can't keep forever. He's keeping all the so. But anyways, just run out of space collecting for that long, and you know it's his way of passing it on. You know, the collection that doesn't pass on when he dies, as he sells it, it just goes to me and my brother. You know, and TUROK was one of the ones that was on the chopping block, saved for issue number 1.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, well, that sets a lot more context. I think you have a lot of nostalgia to it in a deeper way than I think most of us, because your father bought you freaking TUROK. Yeah,
my original N64 from 1999 is still plugged up. It's in my bedroom right now, and TUROK is in there as one of the I've got like 70 something games, because that's all I play is N64. So over the years I've amassed them, but we still play it. My kid plays it now.
Wow, that's cool. I never played a game. I mean, I've never played a game. So can you give us some premise of what the game was? Was it a good game? Was it like Contra? Like, what was it?
No. So like TUROK was one of the most successful games, period, for N64, much like this was one of the most successful launches. 1.7 million copies sold, and the game followed suit. And the first game, you follow this TUROK, later named Talset, and you follow his fight against the campaigner who first appears in this Valiant run as well. Ultimately, they add a little bit of context to that, of what happened when he stopped him, that leads into the second era with Joshua Fireseed, who's introduced in the second game. But the first game is just a story adapted out of the pages of this 47-issue volume.
What? So there's a connectivity between the game and
1,000%. You're fighting the campaigner who's a like, I don't know, like an effect of the Mother Gods present in the Unity Saga. They don't go into all the finer details and all that, but that's who the campaigner is. You know it from reading it.
That's pretty cool. That's like franchise done right. I do feel like these days there seems to be a lack of connectivity between the two worlds. Especially with Marvel, right? Like often they just exist so separately. It's crazy.
Once you get into Acclaim, it becomes a huge thing where it's almost like the real first shared universe of what I'm finding is this, because like the games and the books and everything, one service the next. When you get into the Acclaim era, literally the lead into the second video game to make it make sense. Why is this a different TUROK? What is this opened universe? Who are these Adon characters? All of it is explained in the comic books that led up to it. Yeah. On the cover, that's Joshua Fireseed. He is not in the game.
That's so funny.
He's not even in the game. He's introduced in the beginning cinematic of the second game, which, like, this looks like a video game magazine. It's not. This is a 100% comic book, original comic story that leads into the opening scene of the second game. And didn't know it, but the comic that came before this, there was a website exclusive. Like, you can only read it online at turok.com in 1998 that picked up the end of the first game and took you to the beginning of the second game with Talset. It was crazy.
So interesting.
Yeah,
I mean, if you think about it now, like how disconnected, corporate America has become, or at least franchise corporate America, I think I would say the most recent, disconnect was Marvel Rivals. Are you guys familiar with that game? It's pretty much
I know of it.
Biggest game right now that's out there. But there was a comment by the Marvel publisher saying, "Oh yeah, we have nothing to do with that. Like there won't be any kind of interconnectivity." Like totally writing it off, like from a bubble, And so I'm like, dude, you guys should be
funny because they have the Marvel Rivals series now.
Well, now they have it, but they're saying that it's not connected to the game. And so to say that is just such like a misplay.
I would say that this most mirrors like the Star Wars stuff, how the Star Wars games, comics, and movies are all kind of canon to each other. Like it's too big to keep up with all the details, but that's how this felt like a first time that was really happening.
I love that. Okay, so let's dive into the comic itself. I mean, knowing that this was the foundation for a larger franchise done right through the gaming. I mean, I just kind of noticed this too, where as he's going through this, there is some, a lot of like reviewing back to the visions, and it kind of brings. I thought artistically it was really smart. It kind of brings us into the fire in a way as he's meditating, and then their arrival to discover the dinosaurs.
Yeah, so it's the story of how he ended up in the Lost Land and got caught up in Unity and all that. Like we get like a just a few pages that kind of recap all of that.
Yep.
The
Just
war
kind of
with
recap the
God.
robots. Yeah.
Yeah, well, super helpful for me having not read Unity, and it gives you all the context you need. Anybody, whether you're a previous fan or this is your first TUROK comic ever, it gives you context to the Gold Key stuff briefly, just enough, and then to the Unity thing, and it kind of just wraps it all up. Though it becomes a reoccurring theme through the entire run.
Yeah, so it's just 3 pages basically that kind of catch you up, which I thought was always a Valiant ethos, right? Like they always want to position every comic as if it's someone's first comic. So that recap.
It's almost like Jim Shooter was there or something.
Only Jim Shooter was when he was around. I think he enforced it, but after that,
though, Carl, because
I don't
like
know.
the Unity issues, they just jumped you in. It's like, oh, this is Unity part 18.
That's true. That's true.
Good luck.
I mean, yeah, that was a moment in time where I think there was an assumption that you would have to debate all these other books, and I feel like that was intentional.
Sure, but like coming back 30 years later, and I'm just reading EXO, and I get to that one issue, and all of a sudden it's like, what the hell? Like,
yeah. I mean, art-wise though, I thought Bart did a really good job recreating some of these scenes. Like this is like one of the best Magnus looks I've seen. So cool.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Bart, he's Bart, right? I mean,
Right.
So, and it's funny too because like we've talked about how there's the unintentional kind of house style, quote unquote, from where you have all these the students of Bob Layton and Barry, but Bart doesn't look anything like that, right? He really stands out among Valiant artists, and I thought that was kind of cool.
Even this is cool. It's like a little
like look at the way he draws EXO. Like I love it. Like those, what was it? The 2 issues where him and TUROK teamed up to fight the dinosaurs in the sewers, right? Like those were 2 of the better issues of EXO, I thought.
very iconic.
15.
So it kind of cuts to this now where, they're leaving.
That's like after Unity, and he finds himself back in the jungle with his special technobow from Mother God. And that catches us back up to the present of 1987. Yep. And then he gets attacked by one of the dinosaurs. Is this
that's not
Monarch?
Yeah.
Cohorts, I believe.
Yeah. So just some fun dino fighting action.
Yep,
Yeah,
it's cool.
The first 3 issues ultimately were just tying up the Unity arc with this battle with Monarch.
Get some haunches.
Yeah, talking about that, I mean, the first 3 are where he battles Monarch, so I don't want to spoil it ahead of time, but it's kind of, this is what's left of Unity, and then he kind of sets out on his own, deal. He meets some new but old characters, and we'll talk about that when we get there. But it did seem like it was kind of tying it up.
And I like the format, and I don't know if it was like this across Valiant. Y'all can speak more to this, but this run largely until way toward the end was 3-issue story arcs all the way through.
Yeah,
which reads really smoothly.
That's my favorite when it's structured that way, because I do feel like you don't feel like you have to keep catching up with stuff. There's like some closure, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And he loses his bow, his arrows, and everything right there when he stumbles upon this lady.
Oh, I forgot about that he lost everything. But of course, in Valiant spirit, you gotta have the hot lady somehow pop up to the rescue, of course.
And then, of course, drug dealers.
Yeah, drug dealers too. That's a very Valiant theme, actually.
You said they're in Colombia. You kind of,
Yeah, you have to.
And
the cell phones back in the day. I remember when I first came to America, my uncle had like we were at dim sum, and he had this like giant box that he put on the table, and he had a cell phone, and like he was doing business calls off that giant.
Are you trying to tell us your uncle was a drug dealer?
Maybe, I don't know. He's probably some like illegal electronics dealer or something. But it kind of reminded me of that.
When I see the big phones like that, it always makes me think of Wall Street, the movie. Gordon Gekko, he had the big clunky.
All right, so of course, Turok wakes up. I gotta say, even though he's not in action, by design, he was just a naked dude, loincloth. But I don't know, like, does this do the best version of Turok, like visually? I feel like they've tried so many different directions, but like to me, when I think about Turok, I do think about this.
You think about naked dudes, got it?
Naked dudes, long hair, super muscular. That's all we need.
Really buff. Yeah, for context, the drug dealer was there because Turok's in Colombia, and there's a bunch of drug fields, and the presence of dinosaurs are interrupting the supply chain. Convoys are getting attacked. People in fields are getting attacked. Just the natural food chain has changed in their place of business.
Right.
What a great backdrop for number one. Great backdrop. Yeah.
Oh no, our drugs are in danger of dinosaurs.
We won't be covering it. There's an entire issue later in the run where T-Rex are in a cocaine field, and they're like cocaine crave T-Rexes at that point.
It's like was that Cocaine Bear? A bear?
Yeah, Turok did it first with T-Rex.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Hey, Newell. Hey, look, another thing that they stole.
Yeah, I know. Stealing off Valiant Comics, man. Like Cocaine Bear. What's up with that? I thought this was a cool layout.
37 Cocaine T-Rex.
I thought this layout was really cool with Bart.
That one.
Yeah, just kind of cutting out her and him having a conversation while things are happening.
Carl, look at those thighs. My God.
What do you think we were looking at?
This is Brutes and Babes all the way.
Oh, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He don't skip leg day.
No.
Oh, wow. Of course. They got to go bathe.
Look at that hair. That's awesome.
Yeah. Now, was she just picking up his like trying to scavenger all his bow and arrow stuff?
Yeah, she took him back to where they found him in the water and picked up some of his arrows.
Of course, her hair dries right away. It goes from this to just right into a ballistic. Yeah. And just for the heck of it, killing like a cheetah or something.
Oh, it was about to pounce on her.
Yeah.
Can you blame it?
The Colombian jungle, the dangers.
Right.
Yeah. While they're knocking around the dinosaurs are after Turok and came across the village.
Yep, and slaughterhouse. I really like this with the dinosaurs and how they're like how they talk is like a little hiss. Their word bubbles are kind of like techno word bubbles, I guess.
Oh yeah,
that's pretty cool. I thought it was a fun way to give personality to animals by giving them these like techno upgrades, and so now they're intellectual beings.
Yeah, it makes like what comes later a little bit more smooth too. When you have like straight the dinosaurs later, when they're just evolved, like standing on two legs, talking, and just naturally evolved versus this.
Yeah,
where they got the cute little helmets.
So, Mark, did you read the yearbook, the Turok yearbook?
Of course, I did.
Yeah. So spoiler alert, but yeah, it gets even weirder with Monarch. But
really, interesting. Yeah. We could talk about that towards the end, maybe just wrap up kind of like where it evolves to. But like another formulaic piece of Valiant, like we've seen in a lot of the books, has been violence. I mean, like Bart Sears having him.
That second panel is subtle, but pretty extreme with that backhand through the jaw out the top of the head.
Yep.
Oh, so well done. Yeah, Bart was very young at this time, right? I mean, he what has he done before this? Because his action design is amazing.
Cops.
Yeah.
You remember the show Cops and the comics too, the DC comics.
Dino beheading.
Because he'd already done Justice League Europe.
Yeah, Justice League Europe. Okay.
Oh wow. Okay.
So he was a bit of a star already, right? He's already done well for himself.
A lot of toy packaging. Did a lot of the Toy Biz stuff in the 90s.
Oh, okay.
Wow. So he packed a lot in this first issue, just kind of reminiscing. exits Unity World, goes into this Colombian village, falls in love with this girl, saves them with dinosaurs, and then he leaves. And that's kind of like
He leaves to keep them safe. He knows they're not going to stop.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and then the last words there, he leaves to hunt.
Yeah. All right. So
very noble of him.
Yeah, no, he's protecting the village, but obviously giving up love as that.
I love this cover.
Yeah, same here. It's really good.
Shooting the dinosaur.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Man, murder house right here. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, he definitely put a lot of details in this cover versus the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Really brings us right into the action. He's not even messing around. Michelini was the writer, and then we also have some another name here, Bernard Chang.
Yep.
And we could, but when Bernard's on, we'll share more stories. But I'll talk about it a little bit later on as we kind of dive through this issue of what I know.
Yeah, so Bernard was really, as he was finishing up these pages, really channeled, Bart Sears more just to try to make the continuity flow, but you can kind of tell a subtle difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I always like this page, the silhouette of him killing a dinosaur and then walking away.
I like that page too.
Yeah, very memorable.
Is that a hint, Jason? Do you have that?
It is a hint.
Yeah, he has that page.
More the drug lords.
Yep, more drug lords. So lots of action, lots of drug lords. Him hunting away. He's like, "What the hell are you guys doing here?"
Yeah.
And who are these women, guys? I don't recall.
This is the archaeologist lady.
Oh yeah.
I forget what her name was, but yeah, she's the one that's out down there. There's real dinosaurs, so she's down there trying to investigate.
So she's kind of like a female Indiana Jones, looking for dinosaurs and what's happening there.
Sorta.
Okay, let's just say it's not just a naked guy, but even his hairdo with the two ponytails and the feather on the lower side, I thought was a better design than most TUROK design as well.
Her name is Reagan something.
Yeah.
That's her first appearance of her as a reoccurring character through all 47 issues as well.
Oh, cool.
So
she's like the main side character outside of Andy.
Okay.
Do they fall in love? Is there like a romance between them at all or no?
There's like a offhand kind of thing. There's a point where TUROK tries to kind of approach her a little bit, and she's kind of not feeling comfortable about it. Then there's later when he kind of wins her over when they're actually accessing the Lost Land and spending more time there. And at that point, his motives are elsewhere. It was one of those things that never happened, but it could have, should have happened kind of thing. But overall, I'm glad it didn't. It kind of played well the way it did when you look at the whole thing in its totality.
I agree. Sometimes it's better that way if they have the tension, the romantic tension, and then you kind of wonder if it's ever going to happen, and it never does. And sometimes it just works out that way.
We're not going to get to it. There's a point where it was so close to about to happen, and Andy walks up and interrupts it, and she walks off to go do something else.
Right. And
Andy's like, "Look, I did it. I hunted a lizard, and look at it." And TUROK just looked at him bad and goes, in a single panel by itself, "Go skin your meat, Andy." Of TUROK looking at him, holding up a lizard, saying, "Go skin your meat, Andy."
Well, in some ways, Andy takes after his grandfather, right, Mark?
Yeah, I guess so.
He's just all the time running stuff.
Yeah. At least he's not always getting in trouble or getting caught.
That's true.
No, and I think it kind of goes back to these constant relationships that they're building surrounding TUROK, especially like civilization represented by this kind of drug dealer, and then kind of his rawness and being at the negotiating table. It kind of reminds me of a lot of the interaction that Exo Manowar Eric had with society, which I thought was always a really fun play on civilization versus not.
Well, and it's probably the reason why him and TUROK get along so well, right?
They do. That
we saw in 14 and 15 is because they're out of time. They're
right. Well, they're both warriors. They're both out of time. Yeah, they have a lot in common.
Yeah.
There's a a later acclaimed issue where they introduced some of the other Turoks, and one of them actually was there was a Turok around back when Eric was in the olden days. They came and took the armor from him and put it on. You had Turok rocking an exo armor in one issue in the acclaimed era, which was awesome.
Oh,
What? Was it well done in the way they told the story?
Yeah, so much so that it was the first and last pacifist Turok, and because to stop the threats, went and got the armor, and when it returned to the fight, like it put all of its anger, all of his hate, all of his frustration into a single shot, and when he shot the bow fueled by the armor, it caused an explosion that wiped everything out, and he returned the armor, was a pacifist for the rest of his life.
wow.
What a great idea. That's
And
pretty cool.
You look cool as hell too with the blue and gold, but with like the Native American style on it. It was cool.
We'll have to jump to that. So what's happening here? This guy like a.
This is Monarch's hideaway right here, where they're just like attacking and feeding on people, pretty much wanting information. Where's Turok? I think.
Oh yeah, he's interrogating this guy basically, and then
Turok's hunting them, but they're hunting Turok too.
Yeah, this is the first issue with Monarch since Unity.
Wow.
He's pissed off from losing his beloved. That's who got their head cut off in the end of that last issue. That was actually his boo.
Oh no.
Little raptor boo.
Oh, it just rips the stomach off. That's crazy.
Violent books, for sure. Violent books.
Yeah. That's why we loved it though, right? It's like this whole like idea of reading up as a kid. And like, you just don't see this kind of stuff, right?
Well, yeah, but it's like we keep saying, right? They didn't have to answer the comics code, so they could do whatever.
Yeah.
It did feel a little taboo. Even the games were rated M for mature, which was a big deal back in that era. When you saw a game with that, you're like, oh, I hope my parents don't know what that means.
Yeah, I noticed that when Jason held it up, that it had the big M on there. I was like, oh man.
Yeah, because you would shoot people, and you shoot them right, they would grab their neck, and blood would squirt. You hear them gargle, and they would die slow, and little stuff like that.
Well, and talking about the Nintendo 64 game, in the video game museum that's in Dallas, Texas, there is a Turok section.
There should be.
Wow, that's cool.
And
the game was massive. And the mature rating was a big aspect of that, because you couldn't. This was the first 3D gaming platform, like you had Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis before that. So it really had a lot of room. Yeah, this is a great page too, where Turok lets the reader know that he's noble to his past. He honors those that came before him, but he's not afraid of tools in this time era.
This is very Rambo, right?
Yeah.
Right.
They're here.
Ouch. Gets ripped up on the back. Boom.
And he just unloads. Like,
there we go.
Look at all the bullet casings on the floor.
Now, I think, are we transitioning to Bernard? It looks like it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you can see it right there.
Yeah,
that left panel right there with Turok.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, you can tell. Even just the lines are different. The muscles a little different. He kind of lost some definition.
He makes up for it in his marksmanship. Look at that, with like the rib silhouetted and everything.
So good.
Look at the pecs. You know that gun's heavy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got to carry those guns he's got himself.
Yeah.
Machine gun.
So we'll let Bernard expand on it when we have him. But this was a very unique situation. Apparently, Bart has so much notoriety from issue 1. Like there was a lot of pressure to deliver for issue 2. So he spent a lot of time on the art. And so what they did was to meet his schedule, they had Bernard start with the end of the book. So he started with the last page and started working backwards to meet Bart in the middle. And so that's why it transitions to Bernard in this book.
Interesting.
Yeah. And Bernard is known for working really fast. Like I could do like 1 or 2 pages.
Yeah. More dinosaur beheadings.
Boom. That's cool.
That's the one that's his boo. That's it.
Oof.
Look at the details in the meat.
Yep.
So well done. Yeah, look at that.
Looks like a steak in there.
It does.
Oh, there's like a Laura Croft.
Yeah.
look.
I think that's a little bit more than Indiana Jones. She's more of like a Lara Croft.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool. So see if you look, lots more details because Bernard kind of started from the back and then he worked backwards to meet Bart. So you can see the transitional pages is definitely less detailed because at that point they're probably on like serious deadline.
No, I don't believe that lady is the Dr. Reagan Howell character. I think
Reagan's blonde.
This is just the liaison girl that was here, because this is the one that he gives her the one night stand to.
Okay, there's someone else.
I have to leave in the. Do you really have to? You can leave after.
Hey, look at this
kind of thing.
There's a little letter here. Before I read TUROK 1, I closely inspected the cover art. Not only was the art excellent, but the chromium cover enhanced it remarkable. However, I did notice one problem. TUROK is shown gripping the arrow between his finger and thumb. That is not how one uses a bow. When using a bow, one must hook his fingers around the bow string and the arrow will rest between the fingers. I found the same problem in the interior art as well as on the cover of Archer Armstrong 2. In the interior of Archer Armstrong 2, TUROK is shown using his bow correctly. The only other TUROK appearance I know of, Magnus 12, did not have any clear pictures of TUROK using his bow. I've read Valiant since XO Band War 1. I've always found your stories and art superior. I hope that the information I supply will be helpful to your great enterprise. Sincerely, Neil Irwin. And then Kevin Van Hook responds, Dear Neil, you're right about the mistake, but wrong about the order. TUROK is using a pinch draw in issue 1, the method common to Native Americans. The other method you described is used by most modern archers, but evolved in Europe. Thanks. We're glad you enjoy the books. That's pretty cool. Did you guys notice any of that? That was a kind of a cool detail of that.
No, I'm glad he responded because that'd been a wild move to publish a letter roasting your staff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, TUROK 3. So at this point, it's Bart done. I think.
Bart done.
Yeah.
I really like this cover.
Same inker. So you got somewhat continuity between the two issues, but you can tell even with that cover that this now.
Oh, yeah. But this is very dynamic. Yeah, super fun. All right. Back to Columbia, 87. Are they drinking?
I think that's the head.
He's selling dinosaur heads.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're drinking. It's called celebration.
Sure.
But yeah, so I mean, you can tell by looking at that this is not Bart, but it feels like he's trying to channel Bart a little bit, like in the face there, especially.
Yep. But I think he didn't want to draw Bart's thighs, and so he went for pants.
It's a hard act to follow, man.
Yeah. We'll ask him about that as well, actually. Let me put that in there for Bernard. TUROK pants. All right. So as a pants, and so what's happening here now? Is it this girl that appeared at the end of issue 2?
Yeah, so she's another scientist that wanted him to capture one alive.
Mm-hmm.
So check out TUROK's words right there. Scroll back up.
Yep, here.
I hate her. I want her.
I think that this is a liaison from the drug dealers, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah,
I love the character development of that. How like he's such like a just a savage dude, man. Like hates her, simple emotions, but I got a boner. All right, continue. All right, so that's kind of what you guys were talking about. Monarch and them, they start evolving as well. Look, like even the way they're standing, they're starting to stand a little bit more upright.
Yep.
I wonder if that was intentional. It was like from the team telling Bernard, "Hey, we're gonna start evolving them." So, let's evolve them a little bit more.
At the time of this all being written, actual dinosaur information was in real time being discovered.
Yeah.
In all sincerity, like this is their take on a raptor, and then like the following year, Jurassic Park comes out and stuff. So a lot of the designs and the takes on these dinosaurs evolved pretty quick in the books because it was becoming accessible information to us.
Yeah, that's cool. I also like that he was channeling Bart in a way where a lot of these silhouettes was like a Bart's thing. I felt like he was definitely leveraging that.
This is where he hooks her up with the peace pipe.
Nice.
Well, and then that's the girl that had saved him in the village.
And they reunited, basically, right? Here.
Yeah, she just shows up. She knows where he was hanging out.
Of course, wearing the Mother God outfit.
Got to.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she finds the really high tech arrow and returns it to him.
Well,
This is
because the arrows are running out.
Yeah. What was her name? Sarita or something?
Sarita, yeah.
Yeah, the arrows that Mother God had gifted him are running out, right? Which
Mm.
makes sense. They're not unlimited.
Right.
I mean, with the right rider, they could be.
Then at least stay the night, of course.
There it is. And now she's gone.
Next
Sneak
day.
on out.
Walk of shame.
So
Now, here's
who are
the
these
thing.
guys now?
This is the drug dealers. That's all
Yeah.
you really have. You have TUROK, you have the drug dealers, and the dinosaurs, and the three of them are all converging on each other. The TUROKs are messing with the drug dealers, and they're because they're after TUROK. TUROK's after the dinosaurs, and these guys are just in the middle, like, hey, TUROK, help us kill these guys. We common enemy here, kind of thing.
Yep.
So they go and they team up, use the resource of the drug dealer, and head for Monarch's Island. And it goes south real fast by getting bit.
Right in the crotch.
Yeah, right in the crotch, and very Jurassic Park-ish.
Yeah, that'll ruin anyone's Friday.
Oof. Oh my gosh. Are they getting bigger, or have they always been this big? Because if you look at it, it's like, the helicopter is huge, but you
I just think it's a little inconsistency from page to page in this one. That was all.
Yeah, it was.
Well, I like how it's flying away and it's got the dinosaur's head attached to it, and then the body just falls down. Like, that's a great little panel.
Very good panel. That's fun. It's like ripped off.
And more
Now they look massive right there. Like, look at the shadows by their feet.
They became T-Rexes. It was like, what the heck happened?
Real fast.
And they're all just unloading. Like, it's become very Rambo.
That's a great. Yeah, even look at the camo he's wearing now, and
Oh yeah, did he change his pants?
you
Oh my
got to. You put down the note for about pants, didn't you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so.
asterisk by it.
3 pairs of pants by the time the comic's over. My gosh.
And this guy's a puppet, right?
Oh, poor guy. Ouch. It hurts.
Yeah, there's only a piece of him.
Yeah, I thought
pretty
that was the fun part. Yeah.
This is so cinematic. I could totally see this in a movie.
Yeah, he'd be a little pale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His hair is combed though. Look at that. It's all styled.
That was all part of the grift.
The dinosaurs brought in a
After sitting there with a claw, just
Yeah, it's like dinosaur version of Weekend at Bernie's, right?
exactly. It's funny if you had the claw up in the guy's torso.
Yeah, like do it.
Oh
Happy.
Watch it, please. So what happened? She didn't believe him or something? Do you believe me now, or she didn't? She didn't think they were dangerous.
Yeah.
Well, she hadn't
She
seen
thought they
it,
were
right?
just animals.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like at this point, the real world hasn't really encountered dinosaurs. As you go through the run, it becomes more common and people like taking advantage of it, capitalism kicking in, politics intertwining with it. But at this point, this is all brand new and isolated in this one little part of Colombia.
Right. Like down in the jungles and stuff.
Mm-hmm. It's just at that point, it's just legends and local myths.
This is a cool shot too. Ready to like
Yeah.
knife. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's the actual face off there, face to face. That's wicked.
Yeah, and it's just like the back and forth there, the sword through the, or the knife through the side, the claws in the back.
Mm-hmm. Again,
Man,
very cinematic.
Yeah, no, the action is badass. I love how they emphasize so much on the kind of hand to hand combat, because you really don't see that in the superhero books, right? Like this is something you see like very raw violence.
I love the third panel there where he's getting choked out.
Yeah, it's great.
And at this point, we've made it to the cover of our book because this is a time era where covers really gave you a tease of what to expect inside. Like, oh, that looks cool. I want to read it because that cover just drew me in.
Yep.
It's a preview, yeah. Boom, look at that. Whoa.
Yeah, it took the tech arrow
Brutal.
straight to the face.
And I love it because he didn't shoot it. He just, literally jammed it in there by hand.
Brutal.
Yeah.
And the tech arrow that she brought back, too. It's kind of tied a nice bow in it.
Yep.
I gotta say, I really enjoyed this version of Bernard. I felt like he really channeled Bart, but at the same time owned it because it still looks like Bernard's work.
Yeah.
All right, let's see where he evolves to issue 4. So Bernard stays on this, or does he move on?
He stays on for a couple issues, I think.
Yeah, this is Rags, isn't it?
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Rags. This is where we get the real, what I would consider the actual creative team that brings us the Valiant Turok with Tim Truman and Rags Alice. This is where the series starts proper.
Got it. So you almost feel like the first 3 was like a bunch of like vignettes, shorts, and then this is actually
the first 3 issues is what's it called, an epilogue to Unity. That's all.
Right.
That's a good way to put it. So what's the new setting now? Now that we've kind of had that epilogue,
Colorado.
Well, the new setting is going to take us all over the place. Ultimately, the story starts in Colorado. The basis is the only place the dinosaurs were in that first story, that one place. But now, like you mentioned, they get displaced and taken to different places and different areas through the portals that are there's no rhyme or reason to them. They just happen and drop trouble off here and there.
Well, if this was modern day Colorado, this would be drug dealers too.
Yes.
But this is World War 80s Colorado.
Yeah, these are the ranchers, right?
Yep.
They're getting attacked. Their cattle is getting mutilated by T-Rex.
Yeah, it ain't no chupacabra. It's dinosaurs.
But it's kind of just like a basic story kind of to set the pace, because we're about to get into actual lore. They start lore building right off the bat, but to do that, we need dinosaurs, and we need someplace in America to base our American audience characters in America, to bring in other characters. Native American characters should be in America, get them out of Colombia.
I love this. It's like straight up, we've gone from the Raptors now it's about the T-Rex showing up. Like, what? That's cool.
Yeah, and it's very Land of the Lost-ish. You notice how he went through that little tunnel, and there he was, which is basically, if you go back to Turok back in the day, that's how it kind of happened.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that, all these bubbles had dropped off all these dinosaurs, and so Turok, is a lot of his stuff is facing off. There's a couple of issues where he's facing off other people that dropped off in the bubbles from the
Captain Red.
Yep. But not just the dinosaurs, but yeah. And then the dinosaurs evolve over time. But yeah, this is kind of the start of it all. And Rags,
he faces
a good bit of it.
He faces pirates that got pulled into the Lost Land, and when they came back out of it, they came back out into this land all twisted and messed up. He faced other people from a familiar tribe from the Dell era that are all messed up now, and all kinds of stuff.
Female Nazis.
What?
Yeah. Is that later? What's going on? Wow. Okay, they really evolve it. But I love the cinematic how the art was, where you're shooting a dinosaur, you can't hang, boom, very T-Rex, right? And then I love this detail on the walkie-talkie, and then the blood, dripping on it. It's cool.
That's gorgeous.
Oh, that's great.
Uh-oh, we got a 9-panel page.
There we go.
Someone call Dave Gibbon, quick.
Yep. I love that. That's always been that's an ongoing theme with him and Silhouette. I love that. So now it's the true kind of introduction of the of the series. He's lost some muscles. He's not getting as much Bart steroids.
Yeah, Rags definitely has a different style. It's nice, but it's very different.
Yeah,
I think this is the definitive style for Turok, in my opinion. Because again, this is what's going to become the constant for like the next few years.
Yeah,
Bart's dynamic. It's almost like when you look at him across the board, he's like your event draw kind of deal. This is your constant.
That's true. Yeah, so I would say like this is more like a grounded version, while Bart's like a WWF version.
Yeah, he's like a steroid version, like you mentioned. And there's Reagan. That's her first appearance of an actual ongoing character. She's part of the book.
Got it.
And this is where we're also going to meet Andy. So is in this issue.
Both of them.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, he definitely looks a lot more Native American now, traditionally, versus just by design. I felt like Bart's design was definitely more for like that silhouette and comic look. This is definitely realism.
And we've already started it because talking about the whole traditional thing. Tim Truman clearly did his research. He's couldn't have been more respectful to Native American culture and lore, and actually builds the characters and the stories off of those. All of these little 3-issue story arcs have an actual theme that's like centered around like what this guy is feeling, and it really kicks off with like this. He's lost all, not just his time, his place, but he's lost all of his culture, because you got to think of what happened with the Native Americans from the time that he was there to this time. They're now like almost like a lost generation, and they went through the reservations and the taking the culture out of them, taking the kids away, putting them in the schools, and he's learning about all of this as we go through these first few story arcs. And they deliver it to the reader in small amounts too, where it's not like they're not just preaching at you, but they're making you legitimately care with Turok as he's doing completely awesome bad butt stuff, fighting dinosaurs and everything. It's wicked.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's so
even some of these scenes of like being around the table, having conversations, you could tell that there's a care for character development now, right? That really didn't exist in the first 3 issues.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Zero. all violence.
The first 3 issues were going to make him bumble and lose all this stuff, bang a one-night stand, just come up with drug dealers that we don't worry about after that.
Total music video type stuff.
Right? Yeah, they wrote the first 3 like there was not going to be an issue 4. And they start issue 4 like we're going to go for as long as we can.
Okay, so it sounds like, Mark, it was like a breath of refreshment for you when it comes to like story side.
I don't want to say that. I was blown away by issues 1, 2, and 3 and had no clue how good it was going to get until I read issue 4. And the cool thing is that I posted as I read these, like along the way. Like I was sitting at the neighborhood playground with my kids when I read issue 4, and I can remember posting it. And I even said in that post, I'm like, this is where this run starts. This is the actual beginning. And it was like night and day. Because you look at this, it's like 30 years old and beyond, but you're reading it and you're like, this is modern day quality. And I don't think the quality was any less back then, but it reads easy. It talks to the reader. It leaves you feeling things, it doesn't feel hollow. And like, that's more than you can ask for modern day stuff, really. And it's all there in dollar bin books. It's crazy.
Yeah. You might want to scroll back up, because that was kind of an important part there.
Yeah.
That's a huge part. Keep going.
Talk to me about it.
Keep going.
Yeah, they meet the grandfather, and that's Andar or Andy, who is his student, I guess, his partner, whatever, the one that he was with when they went to the Lost Land and when they came
back
out.
in the day.
His protege. It's the guy from the cover of every issue of Del Goldkey, who he's always saving and rescuing.
Oh shoot, that's cool. And now he's old because
well, because they came out of Unity at different places in the timeline.
Wow.
And not just that, he's well over 100 years old right here too. He's like old.
Right.
But he didn't expect to see him when he walked in here. He was just going to meet he was talking culture stuff, lost this and that, was going to meet one of the old heads of the tribe and everything, to try to get grounded. Like, I'm here now. I'm in modern times. I'm lost. Hence the little 9-panel silhouette of trying to connect with something. So Reagan takes him to connect, and he walks in on literally his oldest friend in the world that he went through Lost Land with.
Wow, very touching.
Huge moment. Shocking. like that blew me away. I'm sitting there had read 1, 2, and 3, and then I'm sitting there, I'm going to dive into issue 4, and this is what they give you. You're like, yo, wait, what? This was huge.
Quite a change.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of curious, and we should definitely have this question for if we get like a Jim Shooter on. How did they manage that continuity? Right? Like I always love how they leverage all the different timelines and have created all these touching moments of like people reuniting and reconnecting through time. And I thought this basically says a lot. I don't think I got through this as a kid, but this is a very meaningful moment.
Could you imagine being a Turok fan before Valiant took it over, and then picking up 1, 2, and 3 and having no Andar or no reference or mention of it? You were probably thinking, what are they going to do with this character? Are they going to just crap on his lore? Are they just going to, it's just the 90s, it's extreme now? But then they're like, no, we honor the character, we honor where they've been, and we're going to build on it, because this goes somewhere. This isn't just a random insert.
See, and that's interesting too, because I haven't read any of the Gold Key stuff, so I didn't know that Andar was part of the lore previously. So that's cool.
He's Robin. He's literally
Okay.
Robin to Batman.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Batman Robin. Yeah.
Right. Well, like all I knew of him was when they kind of talked about it in the prologue with the Unity recap, right?
Yep.
That was all I knew of the character. So that's good to know.
Now, on the other side of the world, a game preserve in Africa. All right, so we jumped to Africa. So what Mark was saying was we kind of take place all over the place.
Yeah, and this is actually an introduction of another reoccurring character, a character that made it into the first video game as your first major boss.
Oh, wow.
In the first video game, you fight Long Hunter here, as well as you fight him in his vehicle, then him solo, then a T-Rex, and then Campaigner. He was one of 4 major boss battles. So he actually shows up later in the run as well and made it into the first video game.
So is he like a Craven of this world?
Yeah.
Got it.
I think it's like Isaiah Long Hunter or something, like Isaiah something.
Oh, cool. So here, do they now talk about the Gold Key era of
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, all their conversation was in reference to what happened, how'd you get here, and why are you old? Why are you young? I love you, man.
Yeah, like this is his side of the recap of Unity and what happened after.
That's cool. So they touch on Unity a little bit.
Unity will get touched on through all 47 issues.
Really? They always point back. Okay.
It's kind of like Smallville. Like, you remember the first 4 seasons of Smallville? Everything went back to episode 1 with the meteor shower. That's kind of how this is. Everything goes back to Unity. Mother God did this, or this person who was a byproduct of Mother God did this kind of thing. And Unity really just changed the Lost Land in such a way that it had massive, long-standing effects.
Wow, this is like a very meaningful pages, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wrapped up 130 issue run through the starting the Golden Age and went through the Silver Age.
Yeah.
This is the closure for that.
It's cool.
And then here comes this guy.
Who is this guy?
So pulling up out front of great-grandfather's house is a young character by the name of Andy. He's a little rough around the edges, from the wrong side of the tracks. He doesn't adhere to the standards and the reverence of the tribe. He's the bad boy, minus the booze. But who are these people at my grandfather's house? And because I don't know you, I should pull a gun on you. And Andar explains to TUROK, this is my great-grandson, Andy. And as you did for me, you should do for him. He's lost. He needs your guidance. Promise me you will train him as you did me. And TUROK's like, you got it. So this is Andar 2.0.
Right.
Our second reoccurring character. This is the new Robin.
Man, they did TUROK a lot of justice in tying him into the Valiant universe. And
It's completely tied. It's one ongoing story from Delph Warcolor 596 to right here.
Wow.
Now, this is the U.S. government showing up because we found out that there is a super hunter Native American who's displaced, and we can use him. We can abuse him. We can get what we want from him. So we're going to pull in like a bunch of psychopaths in a helicopter and demand that you help us.
Right. It's like we have a dinosaur problem, and we heard you're good at that.
Yeah. So luckily, that last panel, boom, that's actually a more important shot than we as the readers knew at the time. But you have TUROK, Andy, and then Dr. Howell. That's your team. That's Valiant TUROK. That's what it adds up to. Those 3 characters equal this run.
The next traveling crew. All right, so we'll jump to 5. Here we go.
Love the big gun.
Yeah. So he's shifted from bow and arrow. He's more of a gun Rambo guy now, right?
Well, he says it in issue 2 that he honors his past, and he's not afraid of the future, and he will use, and he's a master at weaponry, period. Yeah. Whether it be from his time or this time, if you put his hands on it, he's going to figure it out, and he's going to use it to be the best he can be.
Now, does TUROK have any powers?
Nope.
He's just a badass hunter guy, basically.
Not until you get to the Acclaim era.
Yeah.
Oh,
so it changes. All right.
Yeah, they lean into the mystical.
Okay, so Tim Truman, writer, Rax Morales, Randy Elliott. So they kept the same inker throughout. Bill Dunn, Eric Thuss, Bob Layton. We should bring Bob back in a few episodes and talk about some of these ones that we haven't covered yet when we last talked to him.
We know he wrote Dr. Mirage, so
Exactly.
we'll talk about that one too. Yeah.
Maybe we could have him surprise Bernard on the second half.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
So all you who are watching this video now, you're on the inside now. So,
but I think what Mark was saying earlier is right. Tim Truman done his homework, and going back to like, because especially like in today's era of comics, you get some writers that get so preachy at you that it turns you off. And you're like, come on, man, just tell me a good story, And the whole plight of the Native Americans is told throughout TUROK, but it doesn't feel preachy.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and
that's the difference when they can tell you a story, and they're such a good writer that you come away feeling something, not feeling like you were told how you should feel, but you actually legitimately have the feeling. And it's up to you as an individual human being to process your emotions and make a determination on what you just read. And that's the way to do it, because everyone's in different places and places in their lives and places on this planet where that feeling will go into play in your interactions when you put that book down and move through that day. Yeah. And it leaves you proper, and like you're not the same person, whether small changes or big changes. You learn something. You interact with the world differently after that.
I agree. I mean, admittedly, I didn't do my homework for issues 4 through 9, but so I'm gonna
recap you here.
Yeah, knowing both of you guys are here, I figure
issue story arc. You pretty much have a collector of finer things in life, and this guy. It leaves you assuming that he wants to collect some dinosaurs. He hires Long Hunter and he sets him off. He kind of shows off his collection, this and that. He has the son that is not good enough because the son's into stupid stuff instead of collecting and hunting. Hires Long Hunter to go out and do a job for him. And that's where it kind of leaves you right here. It leaves you assuming he wants some dinosaurs. And then you have the government hiring TUROK to go address this whole situation as well. So you have a Nexus person and two teams converging on that Nexus.
Yeah.
Now, is this guy? What's his origin? Is he?
They're just playing up the trope of the rich guy that collects exotic things because he has too much money.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of I don't know. I felt like he was kind of a throwaway villain, like a little bit tropey, but you know,
he was a means to get Long Hunter into the story.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I guess I asked because he looks like a spider alien guy, so I'm just kind of
not quite. We're not there yet. But yeah, they go to investigate the deaths on the ranch. Reports of big giant lizards. A little bit of pushback from everybody, expecting X of TUROK, and Reagan kind of protecting him a little bit, which is pretty cool. Kind of builds that dynamic and that relationship with his team. You have the reluctant, talky-backy Andy. You have Reagan, who's hyper ultra protective, kind of Karen, but not that extreme. Early signs of Karenisms, protecting the rich white lady, protecting everyone else for them, kind of thing. So she chills out pretty fast in this, and they're left there to hunt. He doesn't want their help; he's got it on his own.
The cows had no idea what's coming in them. This one's like falling over.
Well, look at that bottom panel. If you get down in there, like they're tearing those cows up. Meat, it's what's for dinner.
It is.
Although I gotta say, the blood has gotten less pronounced. I felt like they've kind of toned it down a little bit.
We'll get back to it.
Or not. It's just the cows.
And what's cool, we have them hunting and then being hunted as well.
Yep.
So we're left to assume that Long Hunter's here looking for these dinosaurs, that these reports are coming out. Again, this is the first reports of dinosaurs being publicly accessed. Before it was just a little thing in the jungle. Now, like, the government's onto these reports. This rich guy who collects these exotic animals is onto these reports. And we're to assume that they're all after these dinosaurs now.
Yep.
And this is pretty cool. And this is, again, like the whole thing, like they didn't ignore the culture. He's called TUROK Dinosaur Hunter, but he doesn't just blindly, willingly just kill anything. He recognizes this is an animal with its younglings and everything. And if there's not a reason to kill or capture this thing, there's not a reason. And he has no desire to take these dinosaurs and hand them over to anybody, government, collector, anybody.
Yep. They didn't ask to be here.
Well, and that's kind of his deal, right? You know, I didn't ask to be here, so I kind of, you know,
he's in the same position as the dinosaurs, really.
Yeah, outside of Monarch, who was, you know, enhanced, right? You know, outside of him, you know, the other ones are just regular animals.
Well, and even with Monarch, like he was evil, right? But you could argue that that was only because he had the helmet or the technology, like it was forced upon him in a way, you know.
Because similarly, you know, Mother God did the same thing with Turok, right? She talked him in and said that I'm the good guy, and you know that's why he fought Archer and Armstrong way back in Unity.
And this is where we get the reveal. Long Hunter shows up at the same time they're there. He gasses the dinosaurs, and we find out that he was not hired to go get dinosaurs for this collector. He was hired to go get Turok. Turok is the specimen that he wants in his menagerie.
The dinosaurs were the bait, and so they even kill the dinosaurs because they don't
gun them down. There's your blood right there, just full on.
There you go.
Are you happy now, Carl? The dinosaurs died to make you happy.
I'm back. Got me back, guys.
Well, the collector saw the first few issues of Turok, and you know how buff he was, so he's quite the specimen. They wanted.
I need those thighs in my case.
Exactly.
I understand.
How am I going to get out of the net?
Right. Like he doesn't have a big ass knife or something.
All right, so they're in predicament at this point. As we get to issue 6, where they go head to head, I'm guessing, with this guy.
Sure looks that way.
Hunter versus Hunter.
They had to take their shirts off for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Turok has a whole Beowulf thing about him, don't he? Like, it's time to fight. Let's put our weapons down, our clothes down. Let's go.
Yep.
Poor dinos. The assault rifles really took them out. Babies, too.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the little baby one has like an eye half open kind of thing. So sad.
Yeah, that was Denver, the last dinosaur.
Wow.
No.
Actually, somebody in the comic book community came up with a great little jingle regarding Mark and the Turok, the last dinosaur. Yeah.
Callie. I love Lou.
He's my friend and a whole lot more.
That's right.
Yeah, at this point, they just back and forth it a little bit, and then they take him off to the collector's house.
Still in the net.
Yeah, man, they just brought the whole net up onto the.
And to be fair, to the credit of this, a lot of this conversation isn't just useless conversation. This is all this dialogue is building the character of Turok and kind of like that wise hunter. You know, you kind of get an idea of his principles, you get an idea of his temperament, his patience,
and I like that part there where he hits Long Hunter through the net.
Boom.
And look at that grin. And that punch lasts for all 47 issues. That broken nose that he just
really wow.
He owes him for a broken nose, and not in a campy way, but it's referenced when he makes his return. Showing off the disappointment of a son. Just you kind of get a little dynamic between. It's just that classic trope of accomplished father and who has a soft son because his son was raised in the wealth versus attaining the wealth.
Right. And it's weird because they kind of hint that maybe the son is like not all there or something. Like he looks like he's an adult, but the father is constantly getting after him for playing with little toy cars and leaving them all over the place, which we will find out is some pretty heavy foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, it sounds like.
And then you get a moment of cruelty there. The tiger has its paw hanging out of the cage, and the dude just steps on the cat's paw. That's the son doing that. So he's got kind of like a Rorschach vibe going on, right? Like he's not all there. Yeah.
Keep referencing Dave Gibbons. Let's do it.
So his nose is broken, and so that's a big key part of it. Like,
yeah, I'm telling you, that punch, it really hurt him personally.
Yeah, this is very written for sure. I mean, you could tell there was an actual script where I felt like the first 3 issues was probably just a bunch of Marvel way outlines.
And again, like I said, like it's that last panel of that issue 4 was massively important because this is us getting introduced to these characters, personalities, and everything through these interactions. Like they're not wasting. These aren't wasted dialogue bubbles. Like when they, like you hear people say it a lot when they're reviewing stuff and they're terrible at reviewing stuff. They just repeat that line like everyone has their own voices. You know, it's all coming from the same writer, but everyone distinctly has their own personality and voices. That's very true for Truman's writing. And this is when you, by the end of this 3 issues, you really know each of these characters separately and what to expect from them.
Here's what the Native Americans say: "Holy crow!"
This poor kid. He's a little insufferable in the first few appearances.
He's a teenage character. That's,
But he grows fast. I'll give him credit being thrown into the deep end with these situations and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like he went from being a little street kid hanging out at the wherever with his buddies and all that to
Here
this.
you go, Carl.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of cool.
They're talking about the woman, and he's like, oh, that she's a nice woman, right? A wise woman. She helps me understand things here. That's enough for me. And he's like, that's what I thought. And there's that silent panel, that beat, right? And he goes, she does have a nice butt, though.
Yeah. I love that kind of stuff.
I love the way he's like looking away, like it's just on the side. He's like,
yeah,
he does have a nice butt.
I like the silent panel. That's the funniest. Yeah. That's hilarious.
And then this little streetwiseness kind of shows through here. You know, he gets
yeah, he's like, you're the badass hunter. I know how to do other things. So he picks the lock.
That's fun. And
retrieving Reagan. And now Longhunter's happy. He just wants to kill Turok after the punch. Like, I brought him back, but you paid me. Cool. I want to kill this guy. And now he's happy to see that he's escaping because he sees his opportunity. But not before Turok violently kills some people.
I like in that panel right there, the security guard is reading the security guard magazine.
He didn't get to the part to watch out for Native Americans
behind you. Yeah.
No.
So now they're like in the garage, like where the cars are, and Turok picks up the big wrench, and then they fight, or a vice grip or something, and
yeah, go at it. Man, I love these hand-to-hand combat stuff from Turok. I think that's I would say like the major highlight for me action-wise.
I love it because he scrapes Turok with the knife, but then he clocks him with the
yeah, that's a knockout punch right there. Getting hit by this thing.
Look, he's dragging him by the hair in the next panel.
And look at the perspective with the monkey wrench back at the reader and everything.
Oh my god! Look at his face, like his nose cast flew off.
And he gives the guard, he gives the hired help the options like, you want some or you want to just clock out?
They're like, nah, we're good.
I'm good.
Yeah, really. Yeah. My ship's over. What do you know?
Yeah, maybe the best man wins.
And he doesn't leave him there. He dumps him in a 50-gallon barrel, which is even funnier. This guy, like, he just gets dunked on by Turok. It's unfortunate.
Ouch.
See, so here's the last bit of shadow or foreshadowing. He's telling the son, hey, clean up your toys. Like, this is childish. Like, get rid of this stuff. And then he goes upstairs to this bubble dome where he's looking down in the pit where the dinosaurs are, and he wants to feed them. So he's going to feed them through the hole in the dome. And then there's more of the cars on the ground there. And when Turok surprises him, and if you keep scrolling a little bit,
oh, wow.
He slips on one of the cars and falls through the hole and gets fed to the dinosaurs.
Ouch. Well, it's funny. It's like father, like son, right? You tell your kid, put away the toys, but then you have all these toys yourself.
And they leave the door open for this kid. Like, this could have been ultimately the origin story of whoever this kid becomes. He has his father's wealth, his father's resources. There he is. He's a little SOB.
Well, yeah, the way he's like watching through the window, he's holding one of the tiger cubs, it looks like. And that last panel, he just looks creepy. Like he could have been a psycho killer or something at some point, you know?
And they never return to this character. The next time we see him is on Netflix during the Tiger King documentary.
That's where he returns.
I'm glad to know, though. I was wondering if he would show up again because they kind of made it seem like it.
I'm guessing they have plans. We should maybe circle back with Kevin Van Hook because he might know. He was the editor at the time, but you never know.
And here comes
All right, so that sounds like one arc, right, Mark? That was like one.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
the arc, and this is the start of the next one, where again we call back and build off of the Dell Gold Key with this, because that guy up there on the mound is Chachak, who's like that's if Turok's Batman, that's the Joker.
Oh. Really? Oh wow!
Even the the big bad guy from the film and everything like that. That's him.
Wow!
Chachak becomes a major player in the whole run.
And what's interesting is we get another artist switch on this story.
We do.
Well, if you think, I mean, the Gold Key stuff is what they had to draw from, because Turok really didn't have a big backstory in Valiant. He shows up, you know who he is. He was in Magnus, obviously, first, but he didn't really have the backstory. So they drew back from the Gold Key. I'm actually glad that they did that as opposed to trying to reconfigure something new here, because it was a lot to pull from.
If it works, it works.
Doing back and forth, because we just did 6 issues, and in issue 4 we call back and do the little thing with Andy and build off that and bring something in to Valiant from Gold Key. Now with issue 7, we're doing the same thing. We're going to go grab something from Gold Key and build on it in the Valiant universe. And what they do with this, again, kudos to Truman, because Turok is not the only person at a time who lost his everything. Now we're being introduced to what does it look like if someone's not as noble but are deeply affected by the loss of your culture and the incarceration of your people and everything. Like, what do the motives look like for a villain in that situation? And are they truly a villain at that point? Or are they fighting for their very own existence? It's
Right.
amazing.
Now, I will say, like, when they teased the title of this story at the end of the previous issue, they mentioned the people of the spider. I thought we were going to get into spider alien territory.
That's where my head was at right now. I'm like, oh, Pure Spider is like
is the leader of the Spider Clan.
Right.
Yeah.
But I didn't have that history with the Gold Key stuff, so I didn't know. So my head went to spider aliens, but it turned out to be very different.
That we get to those too, though. That's later. They don't ignore the spider aliens. They get here.
Oh, so Timothy takes over for penciling as well. So it's kind of cool. He actually, he does really look back to the Gold Key, even looks wise, like feel wise.
Yeah,
you'll see when they, like how a lot of comics will have a fill-in artist come in for an annual just so your main can get caught up. They didn't do all the annuals and stuff through this. There was only one yearbook through this whole run, but you'll have Guzman or God, he just passed away, Juice.
Guys.
Guys. Yeah, you'll have them fill in. The people that fill in are reoccurring fill-ins, though. So you get a lot of time with their art ultimately through the whole run, and you end up appreciating all of them for individual little attributes, because it's a strong art too.
Oh yeah,
no way around
well, and it's interesting too, because they had a lot of like writer artists. Like how we saw Kevin Van Hook drew Bloodshot Zero. Yeah, like it's interesting how a lot of times you'll have a writer and an artist pair on these Valiant books, and then a few issues in, the artist ends up writing it too.
I don't know. I think artists do a lot of they do a lot more than they get credit for on the story side, because especially the Marvel way, which is they're giving these outlines. They're really telling the story at the end of the day.
Yeah. So we get a little bit of some more tropes of the time. You have Dr. Howell here, who's our Turok liaison and archaeologist, paleontologist, and this is a gentleman who's kind of like ahead of her, who came before her, that she looks up to, who's now the point man and never meet your heroes kind of thing. He's pretty much a D-bag, but if I'm not mistaken, this is the one where they get brought in because there's a kidnapping, isn't it?
Yeah. So they're in like a small rural area. I forget where exactly, but it's very like got the American South feel to it. There's a bunch of rednecks and stuff. But somebody...
whoa, watch it. I'm in Georgia.
Oh, okay.
We call them good old boys.
Okay, good old boys.
Good boys.
Well, and right there, that the one you just scrolled by, he's seeing Andy, he's seeing Andar. He's seeing.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Doing that, like, I'm not seeing what's actually there, but what yeah.
That's cool. That's cool page.
I'm trying to remember where it is too, because this is another important arc that kind of builds the run. Because this place, this is where politics take root. You have the local mayor comes in and sees an opportunity, and ultimately, this place where this 3-issue arc takes place gets turned into a preserve where you can come and pay to hunt inside the confines of it, where it's like regulated and stuff. And we come back to later in the run as well. So it does a great job of building on itself. Like nothing, there's no waste in this book. It's really impressive.
There's their first actual encounter with the people of the spider.
Yeah.
It would be kind of cool if they were somehow tied to the aliens. I wonder if there was any plans for that.
Well, they did. There were several names from the Gold Key that Valiant brought forward and used it in a different way. So I'm curious if the spider people were actually, the spider aliens were actually used from this deal. Same thing with Dr. Mirage. The same thing with Harbinger and Solar.
Oh, really? Were they Gold Key characters that they inspired?
Yeah, but not in the same sense of what Valiant, just like that they used the name. It seemed like they took from that name. So
I mean, I can't say I love Tim's dinosaurs though. I felt like his dinosaurs wasn't as accurate to what I
don't know that. When we get to the cover of issue 9, it's one of my favorite.
Okay. So is it more of a vintage look than you would say?
It could be. I don't know. Because again, this is building heavily on the Del Gold Key
Yeah,
stuff.
it seems like
that was an era where we didn't have accurate resources to kind of, you had to like, oh, this is what the bones look like. We don't know anything else. And you kind of, that
makes sense. This is a very this is a very golden age look. That makes sense.
If you just squinted your eyes and imagined it as one of those classic painted covers, it looks straight from it to me.
Yeah. Yeah, he really kind of pointed back.
And there's where they see the little girl that got kidnapped.
Mm-hmm.
So they got to figure out what to do because they got to survive, and the dinosaurs, and then TUROK seeing his old rival, the traitor of the lost land.
Chit-Chak.
So what's happening here? Is he
just bartering?
Okay.
Bartering.
Then shooting more dinosaurs.
And Reagan is telling TUROK to chill. I'll go with him. She's like super confident of her understanding of Native American culture and her ability to like go with them. If I go with them, I'll be fine. And not only will I be fine, I'll be able to learn from them. She's trying to come to an understanding because I guess she knows enough about the culture to know that these aren't like one of the more savage tribes that you'd have to deal with. Like death is not a certainty. But if you stay here and try to fight them, one of y'all is going to die, and I don't want to see any of y'all die, kind of thing. Reagan's trying to preserve the cultures of all these people that are popping back up out of time, and they're moving through life like they move through life. Like we're enemies. We're coming for blood with each other.
Yeah, she's thinking about it like an anthropologist or something.
Yeah, and a reasonable person who doesn't know their history with each other.
Right.
And as soon as there's like deal, we'll go. Chit-Chak riles up the dinosaurs. Like, all right, peace, guys. We're out of here. Dinosaurs are gonna come eat y'all.
Yeah, these guys are definitely more lizard-like for sure. Like that's the way his references are.
Oh yeah.
I love these panels here. He's riding the dinosaur and just gat.
Right in the back of the head.
That's funny.
Like he's hitting headshots on the other dinosaurs from the back of a dinosaur.
That's like feeding chicken to a chicken.
Right.
That's a pretty powerful handgun to be able to like just knock out that kind of size of a hole.
Well, he says
you have to find the soft spot. Yeah.
Okay.
And then he stabs that one. Yeah.
Look at that. Over and over.
Brutal.
Now I like how they do that where the actual puncture, they backdrop it in red. Just violence.
Mm-hmm.
Violence. And this is where Andy steps up. TUROK gets pinned down. Dr. D-Bag is looking like death is imminent.
Rest his soul in my own. Boom.
And Andy gets his first kill.
Nice.
Which this is a moment looking back on. It's a turning point because he's not a reluctant very much to his culture, his heritage, and Turok's teaching, because he's a little hesitant. He's not a jerk to Turok, but he's just from a different time and place, comes from a different upbringing. He doesn't understand the importance of his culture. It's a lost culture he was born into. And Turok becomes his true teacher, kind of moving forward from here. Is really the first step.
He's a millennial.
Now this is ripped directly in Jurassic World when the big when the mosasaur comes in and yanks him.
Dude, I'm telling you, Jurassic World, man, all those writers just borrow from Valiant Comics. My goodness.
Well, and even in the last issue, this would not be the first time that Turok gets pinned down by, or the last time rather, that he gets pinned down by a dinosaur and Andy has to rescue him.
Yeah. This moment is very Craig Mazin. He wrote Jurassic World. Craig, you borrowed.
Craig, you borrowed.
We found it.
We need that on the shirt. Craig, you borrowed.
All right, so he hands his gun back. Well, is there some sort of teaching here where he didn't want him to be violent, and he is that why he takes the gun back?
It's not about violence; it's about knowing what you're doing, like watch and learn kind of thing. Why would you want to give this crazy kid who just pulled a gun on you for being somewhere a few issues ago? You know what I mean?
I love that. This guy got the beer can on the back.
Times, man.
Yeah.
You have some of his tribe that wants to do tribal things. Hence that panel right there with the grinning and the drooling. They see blonde-haired bomb.
Well, it's funny because she's like narrating it a little bit in her head, like trying to figure out what they're doing and having an understanding of what they're doing and how they're approaching her.
Yeah, she's saying it through. She's like, I got to keep Chit-Chak level, or these guys are gonna run through me.
Yep.
And Chit-Chak does. Like they speak up, and he answers them. No, we don't do that. I'm the leader. We'll do that later.
Right. But it's interesting how she has, a good understanding, and like she was right. She can hold her own.
She understands the dynamic of the tribe. Keep this one guy good, and he'll keep the rest in order until this happens.
Wow.
So this is the guy that gets thrown out, who is kind of back talking a little bit. I forget the name of this specific dinosaur. And I don't know if it's this dinosaur or the breed itself, but they have a nickname for it.
Oh wow.
Just like the big boy guy, the snap, not this one.
What says he who slays?
Yeah, there it is. He who slays.
Now is it me or are these longer books? It feels like longer than 22 pages.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
have a page number on there.
I don't see it.
I don't think that they did.
Yeah, but the scroll is pretty long. That's why, but maybe not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Oh no, it's up to 20. You know what? They pack a lot of details in all the pages.
Yeah. I think, and if you were reading this in the original floppy, you would have went through 37 ads for events happening across Valiant at the time.
Pretty much. Very consistent with the 90s. Cross-promotional. Okay. So they just packed a lot more writing in each of these pages. I think that's impressive. No, please.
Rawr.
Is this the same artist or new artist?
No, it's still Truman.
Okay. Coloring is definitely different. Shoot it, Turok, shoot it. No, I promise. No killing unless absolutely necessary. Please save me.
He's doing this on purpose. He was planning on get something out of this guy. He sees a Spider Clan member who's clearly on the outs of the Spider Clan. And he jumps the gun. And now you see why he didn't want to give him one.
Got it. And that's going to be his personality, I'm guessing, throughout the whole... He's the kid.
Andy doesn't want to watch a man get ripped to shreds by a honker right in front of his eyes. Turok's seen this for decades. He knows this tribe. He knows this lifestyle. And they pissed off the what did you say? He who devours.
He who slays.
He who slays. They pissed. Turok knew what he was looking at too. Notice how he's laying into this one. Machine guns, handguns. It's not stopping.
Because these dinosaurs at this point are just they're like hatched dinosaurs, so they don't have the bionic, like, conversational skill sets either.
Yeah,
right?
these are
not
just
like
legit
Monarch.
animals.
Mm-hmm.
They distract it with the Ankylosaurus, R.I.P. little buddy, and they get out of
Oh
there.
no.
Dr. D-Bag shows up and saves the day. He's kind of like an old drunk kook, you know, like he's got tenure, so he doesn't have to work
Right.
hard anymore.
Right. So they save the dude and they're like, all right, where's the woman?
And she's learning a little about their culture.
Yep.
Their journey. You know, we saw Turoks, we saw Andars. It's a little bit of their journey and the way that they see Turok. They're a little bit jaded as well from his turn to Mother God as well. Not just their original little back and forths and all that, but Turok's had a bad reputation with a lot of people across Lost Land.
And then Reagan comes across the girl that had been kidnapped, and it's like, oh, I gotta make sure she's safe too.
That's what she came for. Which is pretty interesting because it's been since issue 1 since we even, or it's the first issue of this 3-issue arc, and now we're at the end of it, and now, you know, we haven't, they've been busy. Like, it's been a lot of stuff to even get to this point.
Dang, she's brutal. Look at that. Just straight bite to the hand.
She's a strong, independent woman. She don't need no man.
Nope. She's got her set of teeth. Or weapons.
That's a great panel with that like soft expressions on the face, a little bit of blood on her mouth. It's just like a face of submission because now that she got safe from that guy, Chichak's there and she kind of shows no sign of like resistance or anything, like kind of giving that like I'm with you kind of, I'm glad you're here kind of face. She's kind of understanding him. He's giving her some dialogue about like, again, the culture thing really did it. She kind of has a better understanding about like this, like her life, where she comes from and his are not the same, but are equally important to each of them. She's getting a little bit of understanding of him. And I believe at this point, Turok still just wants to take him out. But that'll change.
Got that old hatred.
Yeah.
Oh, so there's a lot of like tribal politics that's happening here.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm not going to attack. I want the girl. I want the kid. You can't have them. Bang, bang, pow. I could take you out, but I don't want to do it that way. Let's go old school. Let's get naked and fight.
Yep. Here goes.
Yep.
Hand to hand.
Yep. And then he clocks him with the butt of the gun.
Done.
Over. Throw it down.
There it goes. Oh, where did that come from?
The hunting party.
Oh, hunting party. Oh,
the good old boys.
Yeah.
The good old boys.
Now,
Who's this guy?
This is the introduction of the mayor. Like this is a character will pop up again later. This is where politics come in. We've had the government introduced, and now politics is getting introduced into the book. He saw an opportunity to be the hero of the day. Ultimately, he called in the sheriff that called in the help just to piggyback off of it and take the success and the win. Unfortunately, some Native Americans lost their lives in that process, and now they're taking them all into custody. What's worse than fighting Turok for a winner-take-all is actually going into custody. And this is where you kind of get like a modern version of what they went through in the late 1800s when they all started going to reform school. And when you scroll down a little bit, this is where a major point for Turok. It's either at the end of the gun and then they're all getting arrested and keep going.
Oh, wow.
That face of the team looking at him and Chichak looking back and Turok understanding what he was told. When they took him to meet Andar and he didn't know it was Andar, she was talking about like the reservations and the loss of culture. And I forget there's a name for it that they use. It was like the gentrification of their people. And now he's watching it happen. Something that was gone is now reoccurring. Like, would it still happen today? Knowing the horrors that they went through 100 years ago, that had to be terrible. Now he's looking at it. And now they're, unfortunately for them, changing the man that Turok is even more.
Wow. Man, like Tim Truman, he really has something to say, huh? Through his storytelling.
Yeah. But he didn't even say it. It was just with a look back from Chichak. It was just a simple look back. Look at that Rags. Look at that.
Oh, that's great. And I know, we went through 1 through 9, but Mark, since you're here and you've kind of did a big blast through the whole TUROK collection, like maybe you could talk us through as I flip through the covers as to what a reader can expect that they continue diving down through this series.
Yeah, hit the next cover so I get an idea. Okay, this is the one where like stereotypical herbal markets, black market herbal markets, like where you're taking like rhinoceros horn, elephant bones, and stuff like that. Turok gets word that there's one of those, and he gets recruited and sent to the city for the first time. So this is where you take Turok out of the outback, out of the jungles and the deserts, and he goes to the city. So it's like culture shock for him, but he's trying to shut down this operation that's taking Binosaur stuff. Wow. So you have like it is like an old rich Asian guy who's got like an impressive little black market force, and they get there. Not only is he taking these things, he's taking live dinosaurs, and again, see the Binosaurs. There's the old guy, and Turok kind of goes stealth on this. He leaves his team behind, not like at home, but he goes in on his own accord. He figures out where they are. Goes like this is still just a figuring out process, but he ends up breaking in, and here we go. Now hold it. Yeah, this is where he recognizes a certain smell, and that's when he finds out they not just have dead things, but they have live honkers in here.
Is this still Rags?
Yeah, this is Rags coming back. Now this is where it gets a little bit more serious too. Again, like remember I told you about the loss, like learning about people losing their culture and stuff. They keep building on this. Tim Truman does. But this was one of my favorite issues for reasons I'll get to in a minute. But when he's down here, he doesn't have nothing but a simple knife. Look at this. This is almost like a silent issue. Page splashes all the way through, no dialogue through that whole fight, and he blows its head off. This was the prized possession of this guy. And he's got another one, but you can see where he ain't too happy about it.
Another collector.
Now Turok breaks out. Let's go slow, go slow. He breaks out. And he starts gunning people down. You get your hyper violence. I love the art in here. You can see where Rags is a lot more leaning into what Bart Sears was doing with the.
Yes, he's kind of going back to that. Now he's in denim and like a ripped shirt. He's kind of like
page 18. I think this is. This is a heavy page right here because he finds like one of the rooms with all the stuff, and if you read some of the dialogue in here, you find out what he's got going on. But he also. You see what this guy is up to with the taking of actual Native American heads and jarring them so he can keep and preserve the hair and use it for later. And here's the actual page for it.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
So this is my first go out and purchase original art because I read like, dude, for one, I knew Rags Morales from the DC era of stuff like Identity Crisis and stuff, and finding out he cut his teeth on Turok, I'm like, I bet I can get Rags Morales original art for cheap. And I found this one that you got Turok wielding weapons. You have him like anger. You have him sad. You have him fired up and ready to kill everybody. It was like a whole range of emotions. So when I found this, I'm like, I'm going to get that.
You got to get it. That's a good one.
Good get it. Yeah.
Especially when you're diving into it. I'm glad we jumped ahead on the other issue. I mean, I guess it's probably a good time, Jason, for our transition to show and tell. What do you think?
Mark's got some colors behind his head there too, right above Spectre there.
Yeah, issue 18, page 1.
Let me go back on Mark real quick. Okay, you want to talk about those?
Yeah, it's issue 18, page 1. It's one of the ones that has like the layers to it. You can peel it up and see all the stuff put down. But
I'm really into the colors these days. They look so
these
cool.
These are so fun.
Yeah.
White man speak with forked tongue.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You notice that by that time he's getting a little high tech there with some of his stuff, but
kind of. This was a whole troop of people, and this is the only one left alive because Turok, we're going to go scout him. We're going to go deal with this dinosaur thing in the small town, but we just want him as a what's it called? Not a guide, but just like the person who's going to give you some information if you need it. They land and they all get wiped out. Turok picks up their gun and takes out the dinosaur, and then the dinosaurs were. They were not exploding, but they were incinerating upon death. There was a little bit more to it. So he's rocking their hardware, but this poor sucker was the last one alive out of the team, and he doesn't even make it through the issue. They go out horribly. But yeah, you can see like how the lettering is on a separate thing than the bubble is, and same with the yellow one. You can see it better.
I love it. It's cool.
Yeah, I think did you buy that from Sonic Dan off eBay?
That was this one from Sonic Dam. This one came from what's the
Anthony.
guy? Yeah.
Mhm.
This is Anthony. So this I got first. It was like $40. I'm like,
Mhm.
what?
That's
What?
great.
I don't have to haggle with you. Deal.
Well, so yeah, and we talked about this in previous issues, Mark, and you probably already know about all that. But the those colors are not really colored guides. They're basically blue lines where they painted on them, as opposed to the color guide where you would see like the Marvel color guide with just a bunch of writing on it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean it's art unto itself, but
Yes.
a lot of people like Anthony don't put a lot of value on them. So
I think
Well,
they're undervalued. Yeah, I think they're undervalued because I feel like it's like the recent Lynn Varley art that it's from the Dark Knight. Those are the actual art that made the comics. I feel these aren't just guys; these are the actual art. But
yeah,
I'm trying to. God, I feel terrible because I'm not remembering his name offhand. These are watercolors done by. Here it is. I'll give you his name.
it's not on the page there, right down at the bottom where it says colorist.
Where does it colors?
bottom left,
does it say color?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, there it is. John Ceballaro.
Okay.
John Caballero.
Oh yeah, I recognize that name from some of the other books.
So the way I saw it, like between the two pieces, I've got the pencils and inks by Rags,
Nice.
or whatever it is, and then the color. So it's pencil, inks, and Rags with it all combined.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I'm glad. So it sounds like TUROK's what gotten you into the whole original art game then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. You're the
I have
perfect
one
guest for
other
this
original
one.
art page from a Michael Bay Transformers comic book. I love the Bay era stuff. And talk about affordable original art.
Yeah.
One person who looked for it.
Yeah, so when Dynamite relaunched the cover, they got to go back and get the guy that did the original #1.
Oh wow.
And this was purchased at OAX, a lot cheaper than what Dinesh purchased the original one for.
Great deal, by the way. I think you made a move because someone else tried to make a move on this right after.
Yeah.
Wow, I just got that whole 12-issue run in.
Yeah, that's the Dynamite one, and the Dynamite one was fun. That one was.
It's fun, yeah.
Yeah, they did 3 different runs. They did a 5-issue run with Bart Sears and Rags on the colors. I think Ron Mars wrote that one, and this one is the pack run, right?
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now the last one I didn't really too much care for because it's a totally different character. But
weird. He's got like a dinosaur hood up on his head and stuff. That's a 6-issue one. I ain't got that one yet either.
Dinosaur hood. I love this. I used to stare at this page a lot.
This is one of TUROK's early appearance is right there as he faces Archer and Armstrong. He's still under the influence of Mother God there. Barry Windsor Smith.
From Unity?
Yeah, Community. Barry Windsor Smith, my favorite.
Inked by Bob?
Inked by Bob and signed by Bob. At OAX.
That's a good one.
Boom.
But and so there's the one from TUROK #2, the one you mentioned that you like, the silhouettes right there.
Oh, there it is. Great page.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Where do you find all these? Because I've still been looking online to find some of this kind of art for sale, and I've seen this website, and there's no prices on it. It looks like
you have to join us for some of our adventures at OAX and New York Comic Con. Heroes Con too.
Yeah, Heroes is a great place to get art. Which Mark is the one that turned me on to Heroes. He said it's the show.
Heroes is great.
Oh, Heroes is awesome.
At this point, Jason, I got like the entire community going.
Right? I mean, it's so huge. So there's that one right there. So we see that Mr. Douchebag.
Oh yeah, it is. I recognize him.
Professor Douchebag.
His and then if you go to the one on the back. There you go. So he basically laid it out on the back side. On the back side, and he just flipped it over.
I love that. That's a Sean Chen thing.
I was going to say that. Sean does that a lot.
So this is the one that one of the Dynamite runs.
Yeah.
And the dinosaurs. I've got several pages from Corey Smith.
That's a nice one. Biting a horse's ass.
Yeah.
What other end do you bite?
Yeah. I like this actually. This is sick. This
I actually own the cover to that one. So if you scroll back out, this is just a prelim. So yeah, right here.
Woo, this is beast. Jeez.
Problem.
So that's Bart. Bart Sears. That's issue 1 of one of the runs from Dynamite. He added the dinosaur in later. So if you scroll down, you'll see the print and the cover have.
Oh yeah, big ass T-Rex.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's the Ron Mars run, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
5-issue run. Have you read that, Jason?
Yeah.
Amazing, right? Like it makes you want to read the Acclaim stuff, because I went ahead and read that because I was waiting on Acclaim to come in. That's not the original Turok.
It's not. It's a whole different person.
This Turok in this 5-issue run only exists in this 5-issue run. What you think it's like a retelling of the story of him going to Lost Land and stuff, but it's not. It's the first time this Turok goes to Lost Land, finds like the Chronosphere, touches the gem, and it brings in all the Turoks from the different era. Well, not all of them, but the most recognizable ones, including Tulset, the Valiant one from the Valiant era, including Joshua Fireseed, and then I don't know how much pre-reading they did, another Joshua Fireseed that looks like he's a dinosaur, but it's really just a hologram projector over him, and then the goofy one with the hood up.
So I talked to Ron Mars about that run, and he was so excited that I actually liked it.
Yeah, I loved it.
Wow.
That's cool. That's a great piece. Nice, man. You have a pretty serious Turok collection. I didn't know that. You have this.
What's that one?
Yeah. Fred Hembeck. Yeah, so Fred Hembeck, did FF roast the Marvel Universe, from back in the day, a lot of the Marvel Age stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He's quit going to shows basically, but he has a whole thing on eBay, and like people just collect just Hembeck, stuff.
Yeah, he was like the Mannix of his time, right?
Right.
Whoa, we have a lot. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Carl, the Hembeck collectors are obsessive. It's crazy.
Dude, seriously. Oh my God.
Well, so you see, because he doesn't really take commissions anymore, it's hard to get like more fringe characters like a Valiant character.
You mean like this guy?
Yeah, exactly.
So
him for
real
that
quick,
thing, right?
show and tell.
Yeah. This is one that when he was on with Bill, they auctioned off a specific commission one. So I won that one. Yeah.
That's cool.
Congrats. But it's funny, he had done Stingray at least once before, but got snapped up by the rabid collectors. So I had to ask for one special.
So like he'll do like groups, Mark, like X-Men or whatever like that, and then everybody wants to get like they just collect the X-Men. You notice I got some of the Hulk characters, certainly the Valiant ones.
Yeah,
there's OG with the green face.
Oh yeah, green
I
face.
my Cyclops toy, the X Factor Cyclops toy from the late '80s. When I was a kid, me and my dad sat in the kitchen and we painted it up like Solar, and I still have that to this day.
That's so cool.
Marcus refers to Solar as radioactive Cyclops.
There you go.
Yeah,
I see it.
True. Very true.
I see it. Yeah.
Well, if going back to the Gold Key stuff.
Oh, you even got faith.
When he actually came out with the costume, because the first few issues it was just him. Yeah.
All right, let me dive into my show and tell real quick. I have 2 pages from TUROK.
Yep, there you go.
I got that from Heroes Con some years back.
2 pages. I haven't uploaded these on Cap yet.
We've
I've
seen
seen
it.
it on OnlyFans.
This is from TUROK number 1. There's that page that kind of recaps the whole Unity chapter.
Yep.
I don't know what happened to all the words, but this is
same thing that happens to all the Valiant pages, man.
At that point, they weren't putting the words on them; they were on there, but they were still putting the word bubbles on there. And so this page was sold by Bart the same time I bought my issue 2, and I was looking at both these pages unsold, and the person that Carl bought that from, because
beat you to it, right?
Well, that makes it easy. So I'm just going to get 2. So that's what happened. Then Carl ended up getting it from him. So
Yeah, I got it from that guy. But then before that, I actually had first dibs before Bart went, and I got this one, this first kind of battle page. Because I was trying to pick one over the other, and then this other guy who owned it, he wanted me to stay of an auction. And so to do that, he bribed me with that other TUROK page.
Wow.
So I did it.
So Carl picked this up at Heroes from Bart.
Yes.
It was in his portfolio, and I go, "What?" I said, "Sell me this one right now, Bart." He goes, "It's already sold." I said, "Who?" About that time, here comes Carl walking up. I'm like, "This guy, he's got too much great stuff already."
Yep.
So this is my only 2 TUROK pages. So pretty happy with these guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Those are gorgeous.
All right, guys. I mean, so let's go to our new rating system. I mean,
Can I show one thing off?
oh yeah, please do. Yeah.
We're going to show and tell.
Continue.
This is actually the most rare TUROK comic that exists on the face of the earth.
Oh, here we go.
And, I took it to Heroes Con with me and got it signed by Bart Sears and Adrian Platt, which he's the one that produced this one of a kind acetate. Jurassic Park acetate. So we took this. So back when the that Clayton Crane C2E2 scandal happened with that
Acetate
weird
gate.
cover,
Yes.
the acetate gate with that weird cover on the Miles thing that was made, like he made this kind of jokingly, made one of them, sold it on his whatnot, put 8 staples in it to make fun of the 4 staples that was in the other one, put his logo on the back, and he goes by actual Dracula. And instead of it saying "In God We Entrust," where they messed up the real one, he put "In Drac We Entrust." So he was at Hero. So him and I went over when I went to Bart to get some sub sign. We took this, and Bart laughed about it, cracked up about it, and they both signed it. But this is
Cool.
This is my second favorite TUROK book that I own. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah,
That's fun. That's
Jurassic
hilarious.
Park.
That's
I
cool.
love it. That's a great get.
Well,
Cool.
and he's from Canada, so that's one of the fun things about the con is be able to meet all these guys you see and hear from off of YouTube in real life, and get to chalk it up, talk about funny pages.
Now I'm going to take it back to me this year and hopefully get Shooter's name added to it.
Shooter's supposed to be there,
Yeah. This time in Heroes is gonna be fun. I'm on a standby, so I'm gonna try to make it. If I make it, it'll be just for like a day, maybe. But yeah, I hope to see everyone.
After hearing Jason's story, I hope you don't make it.
Well, now wait a minute. I met Carl at Heroes last year, so we start the conversation off talking about Unity,
yes,
and a certain cover, and so I'm like, this guy. I mean, it's mind blowing. We went out to eat dinner that Thursday night with several other people, and we're talking about it. And
So
that's kind of where
you guys were both the heroes last year.
sure, yeah.
I was there too, but I didn't.
Well, I didn't even know you were there. I didn't meet you to Baltimore.
Did you come by the Comics Curing Cancer booth?
I did not.
Why do you like cancer? That's weird.
I met you. You have a partner that you work with, right?
There's 3 of us: me, DJ Links, and Rob's Fat Sacks.
I met Rob. Yeah. So Rob and I will exchange some emails here and there. But yeah, he was at the dinner as well, right?
Yeah. So if any of y'all,
he was. Yeah. And so this is probably a good segue, Mark. Talk a little bit about Comics Curing Cancer for those people who might not be familiar with it.
Yeah, it's an annual event. We are an official campaign with the American Cancer Society. We host the event here on YouTube in October. It'll be a 3-day event. We'll schedule some shows with some other content creators. So from Friday morning at 7:30 a.m. on my regular scheduled stream all the way through Sunday, we'll be running shows of different varieties. There'll just be some kind of like fundraising shows in the traditional telethon aspect. We'll have some art-based shows where some artists will be on doing stuff that they'll sell on that stream. We'll have some items on different shows that are just selling. But the main body of the auction will be on Sunday. We'll have a complete dedicated art show as well. They're completely funded by donations of the community, people sending in key comics, kind of collected volumes, slabs, stuff that's easily desirable and easy to move. We don't want fillers or anything like that. You can check out Comics Curing Cancer on Facebook or Instagram to reach out to us in an easy way if you want to donate anything. But we also set up at Heroes Con. This will be the second year we do that. We put together and curate an art book. This year, there's some familiar names that you'll see in it from the actual professional artist community. It's kind of leveled up. Last year, it was community members that were artists. This year, it's actual published artists. And you can see where we're starting to tease and roll that out. We just got them in hand. They look phenomenal. And we'll have those art books there as well as some other merchandise. We have some amazing people that really step up and do a lot for the event, like Big Time Collectibles donated an entire exclusive for us to have at the booth last year. We're expecting to have other items like that as well. So come by the booth, Cock Slam Cancer. And if you want to support the cause, as little as sharing out the event as we go helps out tremendously. We're only as successful as people know about us. And then if you want to donate anything, please reach out to us. Well, like I said, if you're a fan of just buying stuff, that's great too. We need you more than anybody. We'll have original art, keys, all kind of stuff. Last year, I think the biggest item was a first appearance of the Punisher signed by Stan Lee and like a CGC 7.0 that someone donated. And there was original like Spider-Man pages and stuff like that. It always goes under fair market value because our support still exceeds our audience. So it's a great time to just come by and buy some stuff because you'll definitely not find it cheaper anywhere else typically.
Cool. Yeah, I think I donated some stuff to Rob last year as well. So
Nice.
happy to contribute. And if you guys have like ads and stuff, we'd love to put it into like 24/7 comics as well, so people could,
do me a favor. Just message me on the Comics Curing Cancer page because it's the easiest way. Because me, DJ, and Rob are all monitoring that, and that keeps it where we know to check on the business side of stuff. And one of the three of us will go pull the files and send you any kind of digital stuff that'll easy for you to save and post up. We'd love that. We'd appreciate that a lot.
Great. So you guys heard it here first. If you guys have any other contributions and you have a passion against fighting cancer and you're a comic book geek and you want to make some space, definitely reach out to Comics Curing Cancer and, connect the dots from there. So with that said, it wraps up our episode for TUROK 1 through 9. And we know what TUROK means to Mark, but Newell, as fresh eyes to TUROK, how many stingrays would you give it?
I'm thinking like 8.5, 9, somewhere in that region.
Okay.
Pretty good. And hearing what's to come, like I think I'm gonna have to read some more.
Yeah, you should finish it.
Myself as well. So yeah, I mean.